Last week, Medicare announced a staggering increase in the Medicare Part B premiums for 2022, with the standard base premiums going from $148.50 to $170.10 per month. The Part B deductible also went up by $30 from $203 to $233 in 2022. This is happening at the same time baby boomers and seniors across America are also experiencing the highest inflation rates in 30 years. So I can't imagine a better time to introduce to you a new kind of checking account from Sagewell Financial that will enable retirees to get their Social Security money earlier each month. This financial product addresses something that has always been hard for new retirees, which is going from a lifetime of being paid weekly or bi-weekly by their employer to then receiving their Social Security check only once a month, which is a huge adjustment for most people. As someone who has worked with Medicare beneficiaries and Social Security recipients for 16 years now, I've heard from quite a few beneficiaries who shared that on some months, they were reduced to living on bread and peanut butter during that last week before their next Social Security payment dropped into their checking account. The innovative folks at Sagewell Financial, who are sponsoring this video, have developed a solution for this that I think many of you will find very intriguing. As you know by now, here at Boomer Benefits, we don't run ads on our YouTube channel, and we are also very picky about any outside goods and services that we share with our audience. We only occasionally introduce our followers to a sponsored product or service when we truly feel it may deliver value to you. So with that said, let's dive into this interview with Sam Zimmerman, one of the founders at Sagewell Financial, who will share with you a banking solution that gets you your Social Security money early each month and also helps retirees with finding discounts and savings they never knew existed. Hello, Sam, and welcome to our YouTube channel here at Boomer Benefits. I'm so excited to talk to you today, and most especially because Medicare had a significant increase in the premiums and deductibles for Part B last week. And now that we have this unwelcome news for most Medicare beneficiaries and for people who count on Social Security for most of their income, I think the timing couldn't be any better to tell people about your new product in the financial world and let you explain to them what it's designed to do. So tell us a little bit about you and what was the inspiration behind Sagewell?
Yeah, and so honored to be here. I couldn't agree more on the timeliness. Yeah, my name is Sam Zimmerman, and my background, I am an entrepreneur. That's my species. I love to build new products and experiences for users, particularly in financial services. My last company actually was sold to Capital One, and it was a new riff on travel insurance. We helped folks when their flights were disrupted. We helped them get to that wedding or that funeral or that baseball game of their kids faster and at no additional cost. And so we really love, and I love creating new experiences from pain points that users have and turning that kind of frustration into something a little more delightful. So that was my inspiration for Sagewell was, reading and learning a lot about how all of this incredible innovation was happening in the fintech revolution. Silicon Valley's produced tons and tons of multi-billion-dollar companies, helping mostly millennials and Gen Z, save more money, earn money. And I saw my mom and dad, who my mom actually retired last year. She's a teacher in Pennsylvania, and it was a really big transition. It was entering a new chapter, a new phase in her life, and there was no institution, no support there to help her navigate that. And she was incredibly competent, smart, thoughtful. I thought, wow, there's so much that can be done leveraging these insights from these companies that have been built in Silicon Valley for millennials and Gen Z, for my mom and my dad as they enter that new and exciting chapter of retirement. So that was inspiration, kind of seeing a bunch of innovation, seeing my family enter a new era and trying to think, well, how can we combine these two and build something really great for America's retirees?
Yeah, and I love that because I can relate to that here at Boomer Benefits. What we do and what we tell people all the time is yes, we sell insurance products on the back end, but our first job is really to educate them about Medicare and what it covers and what it doesn't cover. And there's sort of an educational aspect to that that I think people who are baby boomers and seniors really need and really appreciate when they're getting ready to make insurance decisions. And so for them now to be able to see that yeah, there's tons of products out there for those younger generations, but you have something to offer people at a different stage of life. In particular, especially when they're going from a time in life when they've been getting a regular paycheck from an employer for 40 plus years, and now they're entering a national healthcare system and a monthly check from the federal government and trying to figure out all the bells and whistles and ins and outs of that. So, your product, especially, I think, addresses the fact that it is an adjustment for them when they go from having regular paychecks to just being paid once a month. So tell us kind of the ins and outs of what does Sagewell do?
Yeah, and that's an amazing way to describe. We think it's a bit out there, but when you enter retirement, you lose something you've had for a lot of your life. You had someone who help you to make your paycheck. So you have someone who does those hourly deductions, maybe gives some benefits that are pre-tax, helps you save money for big events. You have your payroll office at your job, and comparably, you have kind of a benefits group that helps kind of connect you to a variety of resources. Whenever maybe your spouse leaves work, or you need to figure out what leaving work for a long time might be like, or any other number of challenges that might come up that you go to your benefits group for. And we're incredibly honored to be here because we really think of ourselves as payroll and benefits for retirement when our users are the boss. And our marquee offering is the Sagewell My Paycheck. This is a digital bank. It's a checking account at its core. But what it does is it makes that simple bi-monthly paycheck for our users and connects the dots across Social Security, pensions, annuities, 401ks. In my mom's case, a 403b. We take those retirement income sources that have been paid further and further back in the month and are getting smaller and smaller, and we actually get our users their money faster, and we get it in a simple bi-monthly paycheck. So we get your money faster, and we integrate all of those different income sources into a simple and familiar and easy to access paycheck. So that's a bit about we really are trying to reimagine digital banking to help retirees get everything entitled to, all of the
Mm.
benefits they're entitled to, better and faster.
Yeah, and I have heard this a lot from people over the years, as I've mentioned, that when you suddenly have a Social Security check that comes once a month, and maybe based on your birthday, it's the third or fourth Wednesday, sometimes the wait between those paychecks from the federal government can be painful because people aren't used to budgeting on a once a month pay scale. And so being able to have access to their money earlier, I'm sure will be attractive to so many people, especially considering it's not just Social Security, but if they have the other investments, they can enroll all of that as well and create a more reliable income stream that is throughout the month instead of just a once a month hit. So tell me a little bit more about how Sagewell members get Social Security paid earlier in the month than if they were just having it direct from Social Security.
Yeah, it's a great question. So when you can go online right now to sagewellfinancial.com, and I'm sure the link will be in the below the video, and you create an account. This is just a normal everyday checking account, and as part of onboarding, you'll meet with a RA. This is what we call our retirement advocates, and it's a specific person. You'll talk to Danielle or Jeff or Chris. You'll talk to the same person every time. And during that onboarding, let's say in this case, Chris is your retirement advocate. He'll validate your Social Security and help you create that paycheck, figure out what that bi-monthly paycheck should be across your retirement income sources. verify kind of that the direct deposit has been switched and that the income is going to be flowing to that checking account. And then we start issuing your paychecks based on that paycheck exercise. It's a free feature that comes as part of enrolling in Sagewell's checking account and becoming a member of Banking Reimagined for Retirees with Sagewell. So all you have to do is create an account, talk to your RA, and be onboarded into Sagewell My Paycheck.
Okay. And so what you explained to me is that, for instance, if somebody had a paycheck that was always being paid on that fourth Wednesday, then that paycheck would be split into the bi-monthly and actually moved up to where people would get that earlier in the month. Is that correct?
Exactly. As I'm sure many of you are aware, Social Security pays based upon your birthday. So let's say that you get paid on the third Wednesday of the month. With our My Paycheck feature, we would take that amount that you're going to get, and we're cued into all the COLA updates and adjustments and have that conversation as well. And assuming they just had Social Security, we would take that third Wednesday payment and pay you on the first Wednesday and then the third Wednesday, half of the check on the first and half of the check on the third. So there's a couple really happy things that come as a result of getting your money earlier. The first is that you actually, if anything happens, if, some of our users, if they, have a car accident, God forbid, or some other sort of accident, they only have to kind of live or navigate that financial tension for now only 2 weeks instead of 4 weeks. And, it's one of our users said, when that happens, it's peanut butter sandwiches and tea for me. And we really think that this, our My Paycheck, can help those really crunch times be shorter and shorter, and take and relieve some really serious strain for America's retirees. The second thing I think is that actually, while it's the same amount of money, one of the things our users really hated was that low balance. Whenever you have just like you're saying, oh man, you're close and you really don't want that overdraft fee. What happens as a result of getting your money earlier is that your average account balance throughout the course of the month is on average several $100s higher per month. So it's just a psychological peace of mind where it's the same money, but it's because you have access to the thing that you're entitled to earlier, you have less of that strain. You have less days when you're wondering if whether that one expense is going to get you that overdraft fee that is so annoying and stressful. And then the third thing is, by having that money earlier, Social Security used to be paid on the third Wednesday, day of the month. And it was moved to this later in the month period because it's actually cheaper for the American government. And so if you took that money you had that we pay you earlier, you'd actually make more money. It's called the time value of money. So it's actually you're getting a dollar or two more in interest as a result of having that money earlier. And so that's kind of three benefits that we see beyond just getting your money early that our My Paycheck feature does for retirees who are Sagewell members.
Yeah, I think that's right too, because if you think about it, when Uncle Sam is holding on to that money, of course it's great for them. If you collectively take 64 million people on Medicare, who most of them are Social Security beneficiaries, and they hang on to that money until that third or fourth Wednesday, they're getting a lot of interest income off of your money. And wouldn't you rather have that in your own pocket? Not to mention the kind of fees that we see many retirees have in their checking accounts because of dipping below the certain balance minimum. So you mentioned the overdraft fee. I think there's also just the regular account fees that people run into, and because of that check only coming in once a month. And over time, those little bits really add up for someone living on a fixed income. So this product, I think, just gives them a much easier way to budget their money and also collect a little of their own interest instead of giving that away to Uncle Sam.
Exactly. Philip, I believe, said the exact phrase comes from many of our users, but Philip, one of our users, said, every little bit helps. And I think that really captures the spirit of what we're trying to do with My Paycheck, trying to make it a little bit better, a little bit easier, and a little bit faster. With Philip, we were able to get he was paid $10.50 a month in Social Security,
Hmm.
based in Florida. We were able to get him $525 2 weeks earlier. Um, and he's a big fan. He switched his bank and told all his friends about it. Judy and as users have enrolled in our My Paycheck, we've seen the delight, and they often say, like, literally the sentence, "Every little bit helps."
Hmm. And if you think about that, they have to budget their own or time their own income from other sources too. You had mentioned that somebody that may have a teacher's pension, or maybe they have a 401k, trying to figure out on their own when that money should come in and budget for that can be overwhelming. And it sounds like Sagewell can kind of integrate all those sources and feed them into one place, and then assist them with setting all of that up so they don't have to keep track of when something is hitting at what time of month. They just going to know from their RA with you that this is how much money is going to be deposited bi-monthly. Is that correct?
Exactly. We have a lot of users who you have to make your own paycheck in retirement. And what we do is we sit alongside you. We help you make that paycheck intelligently, optimizing across 401ks, annuities, pensions, and Social Security. And there's some real optimization to occur. Some of our users actually, might not be enrolled in a Social Security spousal benefit, or might be withdrawing from the wrong 401k for their RMDs. So by us taking a look, helping our users make their paycheck and make sure there's no errors and every dollar is optimized as well as it can be, we're able to take something that can be painful, uncertain, confusing, and stressful and put it on autopilot. Onboard you with a person that you can call and ask questions, and then advance you those retirement income sources into a bi-monthly paycheck like you've had your entire working career. And we're able to offer this because we're a digital bank. We don't have branches. Our users love to talk to folks on the phone. They love to do Zoom calls. And as a result of not having those bank branches, by being built with using the latest technology, we're actually able to take those savings we have from not paying expensive rent, by not having to deal with old technology and manual processes. We're able to take those savings and pass it on to our user in the form of My Paycheck. We're really trying to put more money in your wallet, using the best in technology and financial engineering.
Whenever something is new like this, of course, people always kind of wonder, is this something that I can trust? So you mentioned to me that a Sagewell checking account is FDIC insured. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it is FDIC insured. That is a non-starter in today's day and age. You need to have the trust of the federal government behind any bank. And so Sagewell, every paycheck, every checking account is FDIC insured. And we do that through a partnership with Choice Bank. Choice Bank has several $billion under management. They're a large bank in the Midwest. And when you open and you begin checking with Sagewell, under the hood, we are leveraging the trust, security, and authority of a multi-billion-dollar bank to ensure that our users are protected with FDIC insurance, on top of fraud protection and other really important features that large institutions like Choice are able to offer us.
Yeah, so they wouldn't be losing anything that they may have from a regular bank, things like mobile check deposit or bill pay. These are all things that are built into your program as well.
Exactly. And we have the largest ATM network in the country. So we've got 55,000 ATMs all around the country that are part of our network. So a lot of banks, a lot of local banks really have a pretty small set of in-network ATMs.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're digital, we wanted to make sure that our users had access to an ATM anywhere in the country incredibly easily. We, of course, have all the standard things you've come to expect in a checking account. Things like bill pay. Our users love to pay their bills. And actually, we kind of use that to help think through budgeting. When you make that paycheck, you can see how those monthly and intermonthly bills add up. And you can then kind of see what your safe to spend amount is going to be. We also have mobile check deposit. We actually allow our users to issue physical checks to any agency, any person they need online entirely for free. A lot of our users hate checks, but they, every so often need one here or there. And we allow you with a touch of your keyboard, with a touch of your phone to send them, and we'll take care of the accounting in the background. Not to mention the RA themselves. This is a real person. Like, this is banking like it used to be. This is the best of personal and relationship banking done digitally. If you have a question, you're going to talk to the same person who's going to get to know you, get to know your challenges and needs and frustrations and goals, and ensure that if someone comes knocking, wanting to access your funds that's not you, we'll know it as well. Personal banking is actually helps keep people and their money safe because we know you.
That's really important today because of the type of fraud that happens out there, especially in the senior community. To be able to speak with the same person, I know, is very important to many of our own clients. We have a client service team with almost 40 people on it, and any of them can help a client at any time. But some people like to just continue calling back and speaking with the same person. And of course, we're all for that when someone asks for it. That personal relationship is something that this generation of retirees probably values more than anyone in the past. And I think it's really important. You also had mentioned to me when we were learning about your product and were so kind to give me a demo of how everything worked, that this My Paycheck, while a great enough feature in its own, is not the only benefit that Sagewell members get when they sign up with you. So can you tell us a little bit more about the other things that you offer for Sagewell members?
Absolutely. And really, you should think of this as every single feature we built, we said, how can we make this as friendly as possible for America's retirees? What are the problems America's retirees face? And how can we build a bank with every little and big thing built for you? So beyond the My Paycheck feature and beyond the retirement advocate, we actually help our users make sure that they're getting everything else they're entitled to as a result of being a senior in America today. Just by virtue of your age, you're entitled to all sorts of things in today's society. You're entitled to senior discounts. You're entitled to safe driving discounts. You're entitled to all sorts of stuff, but you have to connect the dots. You have to say, oh, I should roll in this safe driving course that as a result of my age, I can actually save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance. You have to know that, this Walgreens has a discount on this Wednesday. You have to fill out the paperwork for your property tax exemption or your a variety of other discounts and programs. And so we didn't want to take just Social Security, the marquee benefit. We actually wanted to make sure that seniors get all the benefits they're entitled to. And so as a result of, or when you enroll in Sagewell and become a member, we do a senior savings checkup where we ask you a bunch of questions. We figure out where you're based, and then we make sure that you're enrolled in every one of those programs you're entitled to. So take Eric. Eric is a member of Sagewell from New Jersey, and he actually had thousands of dollars of savings that he wasn't aware of. And so we helped him identify those programs, and a few has actually helped him enroll. So he actually was entitled to $250 as a result of a local property tax exemption that he had in New Jersey. So we made him aware of the program, helped him fill it out. That's $250 that he is saving each year. He was entitled to $200 a year off his utilities through a program that was run at the state level. And so we enrolled him in New Jersey Gold and helped him get $200 off of his utilities. There was a property tax freeze program that happened at a state level that he had vaguely knew about, but we helped him realize that it was actually thousands of dollars a year that he was going to be able to save. It was a lengthy form, but we helped him navigate and fill out those details, and as a result, he is saving thousands of dollars starting this year. He has a hearing aid, and as part of that same utility program, he actually was entitled to $100 discount on his hearing aid, and so we were able to make him aware of that. There were two other programs. I know you wouldn't believe it, but Eric, like, this is an example of the sort of value we create. He actually was entitled to a senior driver's discount for a course he could take online for a couple of hours. It had no real driving, no risk. It was only a simple online test, and he was able to save about $150 a year on his car insurance.
So cool.
Yeah, so we really, and I can, Judy is another Sagewell member. With her, we helped her find a cable plan that was actually a senior friendly cable plan. And in her case, she was actually hadn't shopped her home and auto insurance in a bit. And so while we weren't able to save her any money on her auto insurance, we were actually able to save her money on her home insurance policy. And so that's what we mean by, like, we don't want to make you buy more. We're the bank that wants to stretch your budget further and further by making sure that you're getting all the savings you're entitled to across all your biggest expenses, and particularly the benefits that you're entitled to as a senior.
And so many of those are out there, and as you mentioned, exist state by state. And the great majority of people are not even aware that they exist. We see this all the time with the Medicare Part D program, where people below a certain income level can qualify for what's called a low income subsidy or extra help with Part D. And it significantly reduces not only their premiums, but it eliminates their deductible, eliminates the coverage gap, it reduces the copays. And if you look at the statistics on this, there are thousands of people out there that would qualify and they just never apply because they aren't aware. And so you're doing the heavy hitting for them by learning ahead of time what these discounts are that exist in the various states, and then training your retirement success advocates on what those are, so that when they take a call from, say, Judy in Oklahoma, they're already looking for all of these things to make sure that she hasn't missed out on anything that she would be eligible for. And are you offering this in all 50 states?
We are offering this in all 50 states. It's actually one of our biggest sources of technology or differentiation is that database of senior savings programs that we have painstakingly paid to develop and to streamline it, to allow our RAs to enter in a few harmless details about our users and then serve up those savings. So it was a massive undertaking, but part of what I think innovating for seniors really means, helping folks stretch their budgets further and further. A lot of our users will say, every dollar counts, as well as every little bit helps. It's a dollar saved for our users means the world. And so we want to make sure that we're saving every dollar we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like a financial makeover. And if someone tries to do this on their own, at least this is what we see in the Medicare industry, they go online, they enter their information into 5 or 6 websites, and they have no idea that this is going to get them bombarded with calls and texts and emails. Those companies sell their information to insurance agents that then call and help them with Medicare. And the same thing happens if they go online for an auto quote or a homeowner's quote. And so really, if they were to manage all of that through you and your retirement success advocate, they're also going to be less exposed for fraud. They're not going to be people who are always trying to upsell them on something or be subject to bills that sneak up on them over time. And so when they do have those kind of increases in their product, they can even put another phone call into the retirement success advocate and check on that without having to expose all their information and get that same bombardment that they did last year when they tried to handle this on their own.
That's exactly what we're about. We really think that the internet, many parts of the internet have been built, to create really frustrating and nagging experiences for retirees. And so we wanted to think about our users' biggest expenses and say, well, how do they want to shop for insurance? And the first thing we heard was that it's obnoxious. The moment you fill out, you're bombarded, and it's bordering on criminal at times. Like it blows up their phones, it blows up their mailboxes, it blows up their email inboxes, and it's exhausting. And so we tried to reimagine the experience of shopping for home and auto insurance, for figuring out how to access home equity and other big expenses that our users have to think through with the user in mind. So they can reach out to the RA and say, hey, I would like to shop my home and auto insurance or see if I could get some savings. And then we take care of the rest, and they don't get that bombardment of calls. They're in control, and they're doing it via a person that they know, their RA, their specific RA, and that's actually like really important as well. They can have one person to talk to, and then our RAs aren't experts in everything. We bring in experts across these different verticals with trusted partners or our own agencies, but we give them control and allow the RA to help them navigate these decisions and avoid that annoying bombardment of calls, emails, and texts.
Okay. Wow. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people interested in learning more about Sagewell. I'm curious, what does it cost for people to be a Sagewell member?
Sagewell is free for users. We are a checking account, and we make money, like a bank. So we make money off of commissions whenever our users say shop their home and auto insurance. We do get a fee in order if they do switch, and comparably we make money like a bank in terms of an interest off of an interchange off of the checking account. So we really are a new business model we have new features, but we're really making money just like a bank or insurance agent would, the exact same way, just built online with retirees in mind.
Yeah, and you're able to do that when other banks really can't, because again, you're not having the operating costs of all those branches out there, but instead, going digital where people access this online. And it's surprising that I often find we run into people in the insurance world still today that think that seniors and boomers aren't doing this kind of business online. And I can tell you from 16 years in this industry, yes, they are. People my parents' age, which are baby boomers, my folks are 70 and 75. They've been using computers at work for 30 to 40 years. And it's surprising that it's actually taken society this long to actually come up with the product like this. So kudos to you for seeing the need and creating something where people can take advantage of that. Which leads me to believe you must have had some really amazing people on your team to be able to create a product like this. Who have you had working on Sagewell to build this?
Yeah, so we built this company to be what's called mission oriented. So we set our user, America's retirees, and we set our mission. And our mission is to build the bank that our parents deserve. So that's really kind of who or what we're about. And that's personal. Like my mom was our first user on the platform, and every feature that we launch, we say, is this something that we would want our parents to use?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the rallying cry behind, it's why people want to work here. It's why it's a something that that should be built so that our parents can navigate retirement with confidence and ease. And so as a result of having a really beautiful mission, we've been able to attract an insane amount of talent from firms like NASA and Google and Liberty Mutual. One of our investors is actually the former deputy director of the U.S. Consumer Protection Bureau. So we really care about having folks who are in it for the right reasons, and who are thinking about the long-term relationship with our users and their needs. And so, folks, coming out of the pandemic, a lot of folks are looking for meaningful, good work. And we think that building the bank our parents deserve is meaningful work. And a lot of really talented folks have joined with that mission.
Yeah, and other bank accounts don't really have these features that specifically necessarily almost always focus on the retiree population. So what are some of the other features that you've built into Sagewell that really show the consumer how it was definitely designed for this population?
Yeah, so the first thing, which it should be table stakes, but I gotta say it, no more small text. So many websites are built as presuming you can like the text is small and that you've got amazing eyesight, super unwelcoming to lots of folks today who might need help with hearing or eyesight. And so I just want to say, like, we build it to be deeply accessible for all sorts of users with all sorts of technical familiarity and various constraints for accessibility. And that's not just kind of big text. We actually help explain. We hate using jargon. We try to use very simple language when we're talking about these at times complex financial products like home and auto insurance. Other things are a lot of our users are definitely digital, but they do like talking to folks. And so a lot of banks nowadays, you have to do 7 different clicks to get that phone number to actually talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
That phone number is right there, right in front of your account, and you can call your RA anytime you need it. And when I say call, I don't mean some complex tree of press 1, then press 4, then press 6. You just leave a voicemail. You just call them and leave a voicemail like you would your friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
So we built this to be interact with retirees how retirees want to interact, accessible, and using the channels of communication that they want. The second kind of other set of features, and this really gets to something that makes me so angry, and that's that last year $3 billion was stolen from America's retirees. That's what the FBI. It's criminal. I mean, and these hacks are getting more and more sophisticated, more and more complicated. And so we heard from a lot of our users that they started to get a lot more kind of weird texts or fishy kind of emails that could be amazing or could be dangerous. And they would have to, call up their kids or talk to a neighbor, or they'd have to reach out to kind of ask for help. And that can be annoying and frustrating. And so, we want to provide banking for America's retirees. And that means giving them the opportunity to ask us questions about that fishy email or text. And our team will help in a very friendly and incentive aligned way, ensure that our users are not, enrolling in something fishy. So that's another kind of feature. We want to help our users keep their money and have more of it. And that means first and foremost, protecting from all sorts of fraud, not just kind of the basic terms.
We sometimes see in folks, especially in some of our older senior group, that they are the targets of those kind of scams, and they are torn between someone that is giving them attention online and that nagging voice in the back of their mind that says, certainly this couldn't be true. They're asking me to wire money to Ghana or something along those lines. But at the same time, maybe their children live in different states and they're not home. They can ask them these questions all the time. Or maybe they feel embarrassed to ask their adult child for help on something because they maybe start to feel concerned after they've already sent some money out to a scam like that. So just imagining that this gives them one person that's unbiased and isn't going to judge them. And they can always call that phone number and say, hey, I got this email and they're asking me this. Do you think this is legit? Just having that person be a phone call away and not always having to ask a question of an adult child or a family friend, but taking something that is really so personal for people, like their income and their money, and giving them that unbiased person that will help them double check something that could be fraud, says a lot about the mission that you have been working on all this time in creating Sagewell. And I'm sure that people watching the video right now are thinking it's really amazing. What would you say to the folks that think it's just too good to be true?
It's not. I think more than that, though, there has been so much technology and innovation and brilliance. We love computers. My generation has built all sorts of amazing technology, and it just hasn't been built for America's retirees. The folks in Silicon Valley and other big tech companies think of retirees last. They're not that primary user. And so we're able to do all this because, we are from Silicon Valley. We do understand the best that technology and financial technology has to offer. And we just want to, we're taking these ideas, these hard-won, like brilliant insights that help millennials save money, and we're applying them to America's retirees. And we are entrepreneurs. Our mission is what guides us, and so we're going to be constantly finding ways, more and more ways to help our users. This is part of, I think, what you get by joining Sagewell is a company that is going to be creating new and better products that save our users money and allow them to navigate retirement better and better. And so, we've got a team with lots of ideas that about how to make that happen. And joining now gives you the opportunity to experience all those new features and new savings opportunities. We actually, like, to the fraud feature, we had one of our users, Jen Elise, she said she called in and she got an email saying that she had won an Amazon gift card. And she actually hadn't entered, and her daughter was out of town that day, and she just asked us, and we were able to take a look, and it actually was fraud, and it was something that makes us feel good. We helped protect our user. We helped to protect Jan, not our user. We helped protect Jan from losing her money, which as a bank is exactly what we should be doing. And so that's an example of the sort of feature that came from listening to our users, and then we build it. And so there's going to be, as we listen, and we'll be building new features and products based upon our users' needs in the years to come.
Yeah, and I think also you will have people out there that become new members of your bank that will be telling you about things that they've found a discount from. And with that many people joining from all over the nation, it'll be cool for them to have a listening ear when maybe they have a discount that they're introducing to you. And then you can then take that and also share it with all of the other members. It just sounds like a really cool program. And for me, when you first reached out to us and told us about the product, my mind went back to a local client that we've had here at Boomer Benefits for years and years. She has been our client for almost since the beginning of our agency, which was about 16 years ago. And I check in on her once a year, as we do with most of our clients, to see how they're doing. And she had mentioned to me that when she had exhausted all of her retirement savings and now was living on just Social Security, and she had told me that on that last week of the month before she would get her Social Security check, that she was literally living on peanut butter and ramen noodles because there wasn't even enough money for her to feed herself. And so I spent a Sunday afternoon researching local food banks, finding out about their senior programs. I found a senior center less than 1 mile from her house that offered a hot lunch every day for a suggested donation of $2. Suggested meaning in that last week of the month when she didn't have $2, she could still get a hot meal. And all of these things are out there existing in your communities. And this is a great way to sort of centralize those ways of helping people and find out about some discounts and some freebies that you may not know of, and to consolidate all of your financial products and work with just one bank. So folks, we're going to put a link up here on the screen so that you can check it out yourselves and you can enroll online. Sam tells me that the form is really easy and just takes a few minutes. And of course, it's free, right, Sam?
Yeah, and right now, for users that sign up through June of 2022, we're offering a $250 sign-on bonus.
Wow.
Paid along with our users' first My Paycheck.
Well, that's a great incentive for people to go up and give this a try and see if it's a solution that really works for their lifestyle. So I think that's terrific, Sam, and totally excited about what you're doing and looking forward to learning all about how this goes for you in the first year that Sagewell has launched and learning about all the people that you've helped. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.